You know that feeling, right? You sit down, you're ready to tackle a big project, and your brain just immediately starts looking for an escape hatch. You grab your phone for, just a minute, and then boom, half an hour is gone. So why does our focus shatter so easily? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into today, and we're going to engineer a real solution. See, what's really happening here is a battle for your brain's reward system. On one side, you've got your actual work. It's high effort, and the reward is, well, it's hours, maybe even days away. But on the other side, you've got scrolling. Zero effort, and it gives you an instant hit of something new, an instant reward. Your brain is doing some very simple math here, and let's be honest, scrolling is winning that fight almost every single time.
So the real question is, how do we rig this game in our favor? How do we actually rewire our brains to choose the focus path, to want to do the hard thing? And the answer isn't just about gritting your teeth and having more willpower. No, it's about redesigning the game itself.
To figure out the solution, we first have to really understand the battlefield. And that means we need to talk about the neurochemical that's running the whole show, dopamine.
Okay, so here's the thing most of us get wrong about dopamine. We think of it as the pleasure chemical, but it's not. It is the motivation chemical. It's all about the chase, not the catch. It gets released in anticipation of a reward, and that's the feeling that drives you to actually get up and do something.
And this is precisely why scrolling is so ridiculously addictive. Every single swipe, every scroll holds the promise of something cool. A funny video, a surprising message, an interesting article. Your brain is just constantly anticipating that next little hit. But with a big work project, the reward is so far in the distance that your brain's anticipation system just flatlines. It doesn't see reward coming anytime soon, so it gives you zero dopamine to get started.
All right, so if our brain is hardwired for this dopamine chase, why on earth does focused work so often feel mind-numbingly boring? Let's get into the diagnosis, because there are a few key reasons your brain flags work as a totally bad deal.
First up, we have something called the invisible progress trap. Think about it. You can grind away for 3 hours on a complex report and have basically nothing tangible to show for it. Your brain, which evolved to conserve energy, sees this lack of visible progress and basically freaks out. It thinks we're just spinning our wheels here, and it starts screaming at you to stop and go do anything else.
This chart just makes it painfully obvious. Your brain is running a cost-benefit analysis all day long. Work is high effort for a super low immediate reward. Scrolling, on the other hand, is low effort for a very high immediate reward. From a purely chemical standpoint, it's a no-brainer. Your brain is always going to choose the path of least resistance to get its next dopamine fix.
And here's the real kicker. We've accidentally trained our brains to be this way. All the constant notifications, the rapid-fire videos, the endless feeds, they've created this ridiculously high baseline for what our brain considers stimulating. So when you finally turn to normal, quiet, focused work, it just feels agonizingly dull. It just can't compete with the dopamine fireworks display your brain now expects 24/7.
But here's the critical part. Not all dopamine is created equal. Think of it this way. The dopamine you get from scrolling, that's like cheap sugar. It's a quick, empty hit, and it's always followed by a crash that leaves you feeling kinda blah, maybe even worse than before. But the dopamine you get from an earned accomplishment, that's like protein. It's sustainable energy, it's genuinely nourishing, and it actually builds something real and lasting inside you.
So the big question is, how do we get more of that good protein dopamine from our work? This is where we stop fighting our brain's basic instincts and we start working with them. It's time to put on our engineer hats and get to work on our own focus. This, right here, is the core idea. You have to stop trying to just muscle through the resistance. The real solution is to change the work itself, or at least how your brain perceives it, so that it becomes its own rewarding system.
All right, here's our first tool. To fight that invisible progress trap, you have to make your progress visible. So don't just have write report on your to-do list. That's a recipe for procrastination. Break it down into ridiculously small chunks, like write one paragraph or find one statistic. And then, this is key, physically check them off a list. Every time you make that little check mark, it sends a visual signal to your brain that says, hey, we did it, we're moving forward. And that's your tiny, beautiful hit of dopamine right there.
Next up, let's try a technique called dopamine stacking. Now, this isn't about bribing yourself with a cookie after you finish your work. This is about conditioning your brain to enjoy the work itself. You pair your main task with things that already give you a gentle, healthy dopamine release, like putting on your favorite focus music, brewing an amazing cup of coffee, or lighting a candle. Over time, your brain starts to build an association, and the work itself starts to feel good. This is basically a smart twist on the classic Pomodoro technique. By working in these short, intense 25-minute sprints, you create a really predictable reward loop. Your brain quickly learns that focused effort reliably, predictably leads to a pleasant, phone-free break. And that predictability is everything. It makes the anticipation of the break a source of dopamine that actually fuels you during the work session.
Now listen up, because this is probably the single most powerful strategy of them all. Before you can make work feel rewarding, you have to reset your brain's ridiculously high baseline. So for the first hour of your day, you starve your brain of all that cheap, easy dopamine. No social media, no news headlines, no quick entertainment. You just let your brain chill out and return to normal. Then, when you finally sit down to work, it will feel like the most stimulating and rewarding option available. So what does this all actually look like in the real world? Well, this isn't some overnight fix, it's a genuine rewiring process. But the cool thing is, it happens a lot faster than you might think.
In week 1, you'll start to notice that the small wins, like checking something off your list, feel genuinely satisfying. By week 2, you might catch yourself actually choosing to work for 10 more minutes instead of instinctively reaching for your phone. Then, around week 3, something amazing happens. Scrolling starts to feel kind of empty. It's just not as interesting anymore. Your brain is recalibrating. And by week 4, you can start to hit that beautiful state of true intrinsic motivation, where you work not because you have to, but because the process itself has become its own reward.
The best part about all this is you don't need to wait. You can start engineering this change in your brain in your very next work session. So, how do you get started? Like, right now.
Simple. Don't try to do everything at once. That's just going to feel overwhelming. Just pick 3. That's it. Maybe you try the micro milestones, the dopamine stacking, and that morning dopamine detox. Whatever you choose, just commit to trying those 3 things. Watch your brain. Notice the old urges, but also notice those new little moments of satisfaction.
Because, at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. The battle for your focus isn't one with brute force. It's one with smart design. So stop fighting against your brain's fundamental wiring. Instead, become the engineer who redesigns the whole experience of work to align with it. That's how you truly win the war for your own attention.